I'm singer-composer Kim Kalesti.
I'm singer-musician Nanette Pezzutti.
I'm playwright, filmmaker Victoria Bugbee, and you're watching The Artists Forum.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Artists Forum. I'm Kim Kalesti, your host for this evening. Our show is going to be about longevity, sustainability, and sexism in the arts, which is a pretty good topics considering that my guests here have all three of those experiences. First we have Victoria Bugbee, and she's a playwright and filmmaker. And Nanette Pezzutti, she's a professional choir singer and a musician, and I am also a professional singer and composer. And we've all had the chance to know each other for quite a while. Victoria Bugbee's welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Kim. It's great.
You're welcome.
I'm a playwright, I also do film and I do visual arts, and some of my work, if you've ever seen things that have been done in gas stations, laundromats, furniture stores, I like to do on-site performance as well as performing at Lincoln Center out of doors, the Village Gate, and currently I'm working on my new film called Out of State.
Oh, terrific. Terrific. And Nanette?
And thank you for having me, Kim.
You're welcome.
I enjoy singing, as you know. I enjoy singing your music. And I am also an instrumental player and do recordings. And you'll never see me, but you'll hear me many places.
Uh-huh. Well, when we first got together, we were talking about different subjects, and one of the subjects that came up was the sexism in the industry, and how I thought, well, maybe we shouldn't talk about it because it seems like the whole scene has changed since there's so many women, power women in the industry that are have taken over the CEOs of these record companies and so on. And you were mentioning that there were still problems in the theater.
Well, I think so. I mean, naturally, so many of us now are self-producing, and which is a great way. There's more emphasis on that. There's more money available through grants. There's women's organizations. But I do think that, you know, if you look at Broadway, there was like the Heidi Chronicles with Wendy Wasserstein, and I guess Yasmin Rule had a play that won the Pulitzer Prize, but there's very few things on Broadway that are written by women. So I think there still is that glass ceiling that we have to break through. I also think too, you know, acting in film and theater, it's a very physical medium, and you know, you're asking people to kiss each other, to embrace, to have sex, to do all this. So there's a lot of sexism that still happens that, you know, I've heard of directors who will be casting a young woman and say, you know, I need you to take your clothes off so I can see what you look like. Now the part doesn't even ask for that. You know, and there's that, again, there's that power struggle there of who's in charge and young people trying to break in.
So it's on different levels. So
it's on different levels.
Yeah, because when I Googled a question, I said, what is it like for women in the music or in the entertainment industry? And it came up with the information that I just said about there's 50 women that actually are in these high-powered positions.
Well, see, that's great.
And maybe they had struggles coming up too, but it seems like because of that, maybe it removed a lot of the, you know, like the couch audition sort of thing. But then again, you have like these micro moments, you know, perhaps like in smaller venues, like, you know, where you have to get a gig to, you know, do some kind of favor or something. And did you ever hear of that in any of the singing or the choral stuff?
I think there's a lot of difference between needing your voice to be in a certain range for me and having a woman in a position of power, potentially. I remember seeing Sarah Caldwell conduct at the Met, the first woman to do it, and I thought, this is just going to break everything wide open. Maybe not so much, but I think that, you know, we do need more women to be conducting major orchestras and to have positions of power as, you know, managers or directors, music directors of these various power positions.
It seems like because of the longevity and people over 50 are looking great, and 60, we see them all the time, and we know a lot of those are artists and playwrights and producers and, you know, professional women, and also they have experience nurturing and organizing the house and having children, and which we all had children, and our children are pretty much not children anymore, and they're grown up. So it's really wonderful to experience reuniting with other women that have more time on their hands to concentrate on a project that they had done. Or I know myself, like, I used to think of it as in percentages, like, you know, when the kids got to a certain age, I'd have like 50% for myself and 50 for them, and then all of a sudden it was like getting more and more and more, and now it's like 100%.
Yeah, your like little pie chart.
Yeah, my pie chart. So now I have 100%, and I can actually concentrate on those projects and writing and things that I do. And then the kids who are not kids, they're professional people, actually are helping. And I think that because of the longevity, it actually creates a sustainability for us to be more creative.
Well, we can come back to a full working life after a family, which is a wonderful thing. I hope that in the future there'll be more support for families so that both partners can be fully involved in their work. That was not the case as I raised my family. I hope it will be for the future. But now to be kids out of the house, empty nester, what phrase you want to use, I'm glad to get back to the work and be able to put my full time into it.
So when you have, well, you both still have your husbands. So there's a certain balance that you have to have.
It's always a balancing act.
Right? So what is that experience like? What kind of balancing do you have with your art and what you would have to do with your kids? Your kids are growing up now, so.
Yes. I had to make time when my children were still in the house to get out and be an artist. And it was difficult because where I was at the time, it wasn't really financially sound plan to pursue the art full time. So I did work as a software engineer also. Now that I don't have to spend the time with the children, I can only balance with my husband and go out and make the art and sometimes do some software engineering.
Well, that's what I found. When my kids were little, I pulled back on my work, but still tried to keep my hand in it. And the kids I started writing parts for them in a play. I did surreal soap opera, Toxic Waste Meets Beach Resort at Lincoln Center.
Oh, okay.
And they helped me do all the sets. And there were scenes where we gave the audience all this stuff. It was audience interactive. And so we had to make 1,000 fake breast implants. So the kids are painting breast implants. They went shopping with me to look for like gold lame, and I set them loose in the store, and I showed them what gold lame was, and they'd run back with it.
Yeah, well,
so
we're from that generation, because, I mean, if you see the celebrities, they have the children that are about the same age as ours. And they're in movies, and they're, you know, I just saw that Billy Joel's daughter, she sang at the Carlisle, and she's around the same age. So we're pretty much coming up with the other celebrities, raising their kids and having, you know, keeping a hand on our work. I guess they did it in a bigger way. But there are different levels of being an artist. You don't have to be a celebrity to be an artist.
Well, I think too, the kids, if they're raised in a creative house, you impart the love of creativity. I mean, there were many times when I would think, I'm just going to give up. This is just too hard, trying to work, trying to, you know, do my own work, trying to be a mom, trying to be a wife. And then well, if you do that, then you feel like part of you died. So you have to keep coming back to that. And I think that's important, even if it's like, if you can find a minute to write or make a song or make a painting, even if it's little and you do, you know, maybe you did color field paintings. Now, if you're a mom, keep going, but do a smaller, so you need that little, like that pie chart, you need that like little percent for yourself always.
Yes, and the thing is that are either one of your husbands in the arts?
Well, my husband is he was a sculptor, and then he did special building at the Met and the Metropolitan Opera, and then he did his own construction company. So when I would need a set, he would help me build it. And, but it seemed like he kind of moved more into commercial building, and then my work wasn't quite as important.
How about you, Nanette?
My husband and his whole family are visual artists, but my husband makes his living as an architect. So the art understanding is there, but the day-to-day pressure of, you know, trying to find a expression for that art is maybe not as hard for him.
Well, I married, when I married, we teamed up. My husband and I teamed up, and we traveled together around the world with the kids. And we did that, we teamed up because we wanted to raise the kids together. And then for all of the new artists that are thinking about doing that, it's really wonderful to do it, and it does work, and the kids loved it. The only thing is that if it doesn't last, or if you don't, you know, reinvent yourselves and go off and do different things, then if you have a reputation together, then when you break up, it's like starting over.
Yes.
So you have to be careful with that. You have to, well, I guess we didn't have any role models for that, because I didn't know anybody except for like Steve and Edie or something, you know? And they used to fight on stage when they were singing.
Well, when I first met you, Kim, our kids were the same age. We met in the park, and you and Marion were singers, and then I would go to your house, and you'd be washing the kids in the bathtub, working on the number that you had to sing that night. And I just thought that was just beautiful. I mean, besides you guys being incredible singers, and you as a solo artist, and Marion as a solo artist, together it was a dynamic lifestyle too. And the kids,
it was a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle.
And then both your kids are amazing performers and singers, and
they turned out good. All of our kids turned out good. And then the sexism came in after I got divorced. Because people treat you different when you're married.
Right.
That's what I learned.
That makes sense. It does,
Yeah, like producers and everybody treated me differently when I was married, because I knew I was married, and they liked my husband. But after I got divorced, then I had a lot of things that I had to deal with. And I wasn't willing to play the game. I tried to be the Mae West, but when it comes down to it, she wrote all of the words, right? She put words in their mouth.
Well, I have to
so
say,
I couldn't be Mae West.
being a brass instrument player, I was always in with men.
Oh.
And so there was a very clear surprise in certain groups that there were women in the brass section. Hopefully, I haven't run into that recently. I've been in much smaller groups. I haven't been in a full orchestra for a number of years now. So maybe that's calming down, but I very much ran into that.
Yeah, I've noticed on the scene, there's not a whole lot of horn players that are women. Like in a group.
There are more now than when I started. I can certainly tell you that.
I mean, not that there aren't any really great players. It's just that if you go to, I'm not going to name any names, but if you go out to certain scenes in New York, even now, you'll just see mostly male scenes. I mean, there's that big band called Diva, but the thing is that there's a lot of talented women, and I see that they still have the struggles, and then if you just have one woman on stage, then mostly there's all males in the band.
Well, I find in film and video that if, when I first started out, because that's where I decided I needed to have a job that combined the arts and in a more commercial sense. So it seemed like a great place to be, because film is movement, it's music, it's visuals, it's theater, I mean, it's words, and it all kind of combines. And I was working for a computer graphics company, and it was one of the first in the world. And that was like in the early 80s. And things have changed a lot in that field, and in film and video. And I think the fact now that anybody can make videos right now. So it's opened it up to everybody, and I think which is really healthy and really good. And what's happening on the web with people doing webisodes and series, it's a whole different animal.
So you think like before we had to network more with people?
Well, it was things were held by a few. Now, with the way technology has gone, it's the multitude that's creating. And you have the good, the bad, and the rotten, but it's like out there, and that's healthy and gives everybody a voice. And I think as for young people, I think, there's the saying, just do it. Just go out and do it. And find friends who are artists. And
I notice younger people, they really do that. I mean, I think we gave them that advice.
Yeah.
And then,
I hope so.
And then they're doing it, and then we're sitting back and saying, well, I worked for 50 years, and now you're supposed to have a network system. So where is everybody?
Well, I do hope that they're not all home on their computers trying to make music together. I hope that, when we go out, there are the artists, the musicians meeting each other and still collaborating still jamming in the clubs and trying to interconnect that way. It can't all be through technology.
No, it's not. Yeah, I see. Through the collection of friends and professionals, that hang around and are with Emily and Alex, and they're all really talented, and they all have this sensibility, like they want to meet other really talented people, and they want to embrace them, and they want to collaborate, and they support each other, and it's really it's wonderful to see how that sort of sensibility has evolved.
And I'm glad too to see the genres crossing or intersecting. I trained classical music, so now to be involved in blues and jazz and many things that I didn't have the opportunity to do early on is really very expanding for my enjoyment of music and my knowledge.
Yeah, and Nanette sings in my choir.
Oh, nice. And what voice are you?
I'm a mezzo-soprano.
She's a great reader.
We can cross pretty well together.
She reads anything that I write.
Do a little. What could you do for us?
We could sing a little something.
Yeah,
you want to?
Come on. I'd love to hear you guys sing.
You showed me.
I can't do it.
Well, it's like when I was a visual artist, and then I was running an old hotel, and I thought, well, the one thing that's missing from this art show that I'm doing about the hotel is the people, so I built a stage in the front of the gallery, and then all my friends were artists, so I said, you know, be in this, come on, be in this, and they were like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to have a few drinks before I can go out there. I've never acted before, and I'm like, but you'll be great. And then I started like writing more dialogue. Then I had to get more involved in like the actors community. And then I wrote that, the one that you and Marion sang in, Life and Death with Business in Between, when we workshopped it. Then I had to get real singers to sing. So I think that you have to allow yourself to grow, like start at some point, and then you keep building, and you're like you were saying, how the genres keep crossing now and intersecting, and
it's
that's
part
healthy.
of being open to a new opportunity, something that you didn't really picture yourself in, but it's associated with where you are, so check it out.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there that want to be creative and they want to be in the arts, and they don't know how. I mean, I was always in it, and Victoria, and it seemed like we kind of just naturally grew into it, even though it wasn't popular when we were younger. But it's very popular now, and people really want to start finding their soul destiny, you know, the spirituality of their lives. And I think, you know, you can just sing with the group. I know that choral singing is really popular right now. People, even the neuroscientists and
the a cappella groups have gone crazy.
yeah,
There's
they're
so
really
many
they're
wonderful-
discovering
they're
that
pretty
that's
wonderful.
so
really
many wonderful singers.
Yeah.
But again, I fear that we won't financially support these groups, and that we don't always get the finest because not everyone can support themselves and make a decent living.
yeah. Well, there's two different types of groups.
Oh, sure.
You know, in that, but the thing is that when you do art and music, you just feel better. I mean,
You do.
I mean, there's
yeah.
some science, you know, behind it about why and what chemicals are, you know,
Well, even just the
active and
fact of
stimulating.
breathing
but
clearly for singing is so
Yeah.
important.
breathing. And I think that people that are watching us, you know, this interview and all the wonderful interviews from the Artists Forum, they'll see that it's, you know, anything's possible, and there's a lot of different things that you can do to be creative. And you should just have this passion and just find a way and to network with other people. Because I know, like, when we're writing and when we're in our homes and we have this idea and we're feeling a bit blue or whatever, and we want to, you know, we have this idea that we want to get, you know, perform or to write or to film, that we have to find other people that are going to help us do that.
Well, I think too, you have to find, it's like when I was feeling kind of blue a couple weeks ago, and I walked into Kim's place and we sat down and talked, and we hadn't seen each other in a long time, and she was like, well, come on, just go do it. Remember when we were like 30 and we'd just go out there and like, who cares, and do it. And it like motivated me to shoot the opening scene of my film out of state. And everybody's like, oh my God, and we just kind of pulled it together, and it was very spontaneous, and it worked. And but that was because you motivated me to say, believe in yourself. And I think as artists, that's something, it's hard when, you know, you're always coming up against obstacles. You apply for grants, you don't get them. You're trying to get things off the ground. I think crowdfunding right now is a great thing that's out there.
And so is that part of your goal? We're kind of coming to, the minutes went by so fast, so we're coming to the end of our conversation. But what is some of your goals, and what are we going to be seeing from Victoria Bugbee?
Well, right now I'm trying to do a trailer for out of state to raise money so I can go into full production. Even if you do it with favors and everything, it's a full-length piece. It's set in one location. And I also have the musical that I wrote on Mott Street, Life and Death with Business in Between,
Okay.
that I want to try and get into production. Because we did a workshop with you and Marion, but we never got it off the ground.
Oh,
So
okay. So where,
if people would join me and support me, I can do that.
and where can we find you on the internet?
My website is victoriabugbee.com.
VictoriaBugbee.com.
Yes. TORIABUGBEE.com.
Okay. And how about you, Nanette? What are your
Well,
goals?
my goals are
and-
to keep making beautiful music. I enjoy singing your pieces, and I
Yes.
enjoyed the concert we did last week. It was fantastic. I've been very involved, as you know, with St. Mark's and the Bowery, and Janine Otis, the music director there, which brings a lot of opportunities for various paying and non-paying gigs. And I've been doing a lot of horn playing, so on some recordings of friends. So
Nice.
that should keep me busy.
Great.
Kim, what are you working on?
Oh, well, I'm always continuously writing, and I have this this project that I've premiered at St. Mark's in the Bowery, which is a famous performance space besides an amazing church in New York City, and it's you know, songs that are for transformation, you know, that.
And what do
And the
people
harmonies and the beautiful singing. I have Nanette and Aviva, Jay, that sing with me, and then we just expand on that idea. So just
And
keep
as
sharing
chemistry?
the music as chemistry, the Living Museum. So
On
You know,
Facebook, I know you have
yeah,
got a big Facebook
you could just
presence.
Google Kim Kalesti, KIMKALESTI, and I was really fun to be your host here on the Artists Forum. And please join us again. And thank you so much for listening, and good luck out there in the big world. You can do it.
The Artist Forum.
Get connected.
Be heard. The Artist Forum is a place where artists of all disciplines can network, collaborate, and showcase their work.
On the Artist Forum's AFTV, you'll see interviews with New York's emerging talents in theater, dance, music, visual arts, the written word, as well as insights from industry insiders.
Watch us on MNN Channel 4 every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I'm Elliot Torres.
And I'm Joelle Poole.
And we'll see you on the Artist Forum.